making sure you nail the typical order. Hi guys, my name is Deepak Shukla, founder at the Pearl Lemon Cafe. We are a coffee chain, and this is a training series dedicated to creating the most amazing customer service experience for any of you baristas, head baristas, project managers, front of house receptionists, people out there. This is all about creating that amazing customer experience. So feel free to click the link in the description below to get access to our advanced training, not shared in these videos. And please do comment, like, and subscribe if you're enjoying them. So today we're talking about fundamentally the typical order. So look, I think that the things to be considerate of, this would be the things that you should already be familiar with. Someone comes in and says, could I have a latte, please? You'd be like, yeah, brilliant. So am I to assume regular milk or oat milk, no sugar? What happens with typical orders? A typical order is that people know what they want, and then you would typically respond by saying, okay, brilliant, amazing, sounds fantastic. And we'll go on and talk about words to respond with, such as amazing, thank you, great, got it, understood. So look, when you get the typical order, you want to ask, you want to respond in a couple of ways, saying, perfect, am I to assume that with regular milk or oat milk or so where people would say, could I have a decaf latte, am I to assume that's with regular milk, oat milk? Or I mean, with a typical order, you should know who the person is, so in theory you should remember their order, so that's just something to be mindful of. But yeah, I definitely give that some level of consideration. And then when it comes to it being typical, it's because, you know, it's what you standard expect. So if people comes in and you will answer, well, you know, what can I get for you? What can I get for you? And then you'll use expressions such as coming right up, give me a couple of minutes and it'll be done. You know, feel free to have a seat. Or in our case, a stall. So you can always turn these little phrases into, let's say, jokes, but just make them a bit more conversational. So instead of feel free to have a seat, or in our case have a stall, because at Pearl Lemon Cafe we don't have seats, we have stalls, like a bar type stall. So you can direct them there, or you can say, feel free to have a seat, or in our case, a stall, or just stand there and hang out with me, or stay there and hang out with me. So do you see there's lots of ways that you can turn this into small talk as well, and that you can lift off from the typical order into small talk. So the main things are, number two, first, you know, what can I get for you? And this is in the instance that someone comes in and they've not really decided, you know, what it is that they want. But a lot of the time people will come in and know exactly what it is that they're after. So, but you know, we'd have that as number one, you know, what can I get for you? And then you've got these other elements. And then outside of that, I'm just thinking, what else is important to know with the typical order? The typical order, you know, it should go typical order, and you should move it into small talk. It should not be just a typical order and then silence. Now, we will do some videos on multitasking. We'll come back to that. But this is something that, you know, you need to mix between or move into from the typical order, moving straight into the small talk. And then, you know, that should give you room to build rapport. But fundamentally, regular milk with oat milk, sugar. So the other thing to, you know, I might assume that's with regular milk, oat milk. Okay, cool. No sugar there. Sugars, no sugar. And then you might say sugar. Any sugar? So any sugar or syrup, any sugar or syrup. So you want to, and we'll talk about upsells and stuff, but you do want to ask if they want any sugar or syrup. You know, I recommend the as an example. But yeah, being mindful of that. Perfect. I might assume that's with regular milk or oat milk. Okay, great. Any sugar or syrup? I'd recommend I'd recommend, and this is where we'll go on to talk about the world of upselling, but you should with typical order, upsell, and then small talk. We want to increase the amount of adding like syrups that people get, because it's a bit more revenue for the business, and a lot of people aren't even aware or think about syrups. So that's something just to consider, and then their drink can become like a £3.50 drink as an example. So do think about I'd recommend, and it can be a genuine recommendation, or it can be a recommendation based upon the most popular syrups. So you might say, I'd recommend a latte, a vanilla ice latte. It's £3.50 and it's absolutely worth it. So I'd recommend a X. It's X pounds. It's X pounds, and it's so worth it. So this is something that you definitely can get into the habit of doing. So that would be the way that you can run a recommendation. And again, we'll talk about that more in the upsells. But fundamentally speaking, these are the 6 considerations when it comes to taking the typical order.